The world of pawning is full of surprises, right? You never know what kind of treasure, or fake, you might find. Over the years, the Pawn Stars team at the gold and silver pawn shop has come across some truly valuable items, but they've also had their share of fakes. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to walk into a pawn shop with a rare item only to find out it's a total counterfeit? Some sellers really believe their items are worth a lot, but others try to pull a fast one on Rick, Corey, Chumlee, and the crew. Curious about some of the most memorable fake items they've encountered? Stick around to find out which items almost fooled the experts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Fame Game TV for more interesting stories and insider scoops. 10. John Lennon's artwork that wasn't. John Lennon was known for his incredible music, but did you know he was also an artist? He had a unique style that captivated many, and his artwork is highly sought after. One day, a man walked into the gold and silver pawn shop with what he claimed were original sketches drawn by Lennon himself. He said he found the artwork at a thrift store and wanted to sell it for $20,000. The idea of owning something created by the legendary musician was tempting, but Rick wasn't easily fooled. As Rick examined the sketches, something didn't seem quite right. The paper they were drawn on was Kodak paper, but here's the problem. Kodak paper didn't exist when John Lennon was alive. Lennon passed away in 1980, and Kodak only introduced the type of paper with a modern watermark long after his death. That was a huge red flag. Without any proof of authenticity, and with the presence of the wrong paper, Rick knew these sketches couldn't possibly be from Lennon. He politely declined the deal, and the seller's hopes of walking out with $20,000 quickly vanished. This encounter served as a valuable lesson about the importance of verifying facts, especially when dealing with items that could be worth a lot of money. It's always important to do your homework before making big claims or big sales. 9. Shoeless Joe Jackson's fake signature. Shoeless Joe Jackson is a name many know in baseball history, not just because of his amazing talent on the field, but also because of his connection to the 1919 World Series scandal. One day, a customer came into the gold and silver pawn shop with a book called Say It Ain't So, Joe, claiming it was signed by Jackson himself. The signature had been certified, so Rick, trusting the certificate, decided to buy the book for $13,000. At first, everything seemed fine. The idea of owning a signed book from such a legendary figure was exciting. But then, things took a turn. Experts later examined the signature and discovered that it was a forgery. The book, once valued at $13,000, was now essentially worthless. This mistake ended up costing Rick a lot of money. It was a tough lesson in the world of collectibles, reminding everyone that even when something is certified, it's important to do your own research and not blindly trust third-party claims. In the world of pawning, authenticity is everything, and sometimes even certified items can turn out to be fakes. 8. Napoleon's letter that didn't make the cut. In Season 8 of Pawn Stars, a man walked into the shop with a letter he claimed was written by the famous French leader Napoleon Bonaparte. The letter even had a wax seal, which made it seem even more authentic and valuable. Corey, always on the lookout for something unique, decided to take a chance and paid $2,000 for the document, thinking he might have just stumbled upon a rare piece of history. But as with many pawnshop stories, things weren't quite as they seemed. Corey decided to have the letter examined by an expert to confirm its authenticity. When the expert took a closer look, they discovered something that raised a red flag. The ink used on the letter was too fresh and didn't match the kind of ink that would have been used in Napoleon's time. It quickly became clear that the letter was a replica, not a genuine piece of history. Corey had paid $2,000 for something that was now worth almost nothing. It was a tough loss, but it served as an important reminder about the importance of verifying historical items. Sometimes, things that seem too good to be true really are, and in the world of pawning, it's essential to double-check everything before making big investments. 7. prison memorabilia with a past. One memorable day at the gold and silver pawn shop, a man came in with a collection of antique-looking items, including a Wells Fargo strongbox, a ball and chain, and some handcuffs. He claimed that the ball and chain came from the infamous Yuma Territorial Prison, while the handcuffs were supposedly from Folsom State Prison. The items had an authentic look to them, and Rick, always excited about rare historical pieces, decided to pay $450 for the collection. At first, everything seemed fine. The items had a certain charm that made them appear valuable and significant. However, when Rick took a closer look, he noticed something odd about the handcuffs. The chains on the handcuffs appeared to be made with modern electric welding techniques, which were not used in the time these items supposedly came from. This was a huge red flag. Then, Rick examined the ball and chain more closely. To his surprise, he found the prison's name stamped on it, something that was never done in that era. It was clear these items were not as authentic as they seemed. In the end, all the items turned out to be fake, leaving Rick feeling disappointed about his $450 purchase. It was a tough lesson in verifying the authenticity of historical items, and a reminder that not everything that looks old is actually valuable. 6. Counterfeit Pete Rose baseball cards. Pete Rose is a baseball legend, famous for his incredible record of 4,256 hits. Because of his fame, his memorabilia is highly valuable, so when a man walked into the shop with 5 identical Pete Rose baseball cards from 1967, he probably thought he had struck gold. However, Rick quickly spotted some problems. The colours on the cards were faded and the photos appeared overexposed, which didn't seem right for cards that old. Plus, having 5 identical cards raised a red flag. Most collectors know that valuable cards aren't usually mass-produced in that way. Rick took a closer look and soon confirmed his suspicions. The cards were counterfeit. They weren't the rare, valuable items the seller thought they were. The man's hopes of making a big sale were crushed, and Rick saved himself from making a bad deal. This situation serves as a reminder that when dealing with collectibles, it's essential to carefully examine items for authenticity. Even the most famous names in sports can have counterfeit memorabilia floating around, so always be cautious when making deals. 5. Babe Ruth's fake bat and glove. When it comes to baseball legends, Babe Ruth is one of the biggest names in the game. One day, a seller came into the shop with a glove signed by Ruth and a bat co-signed by both Ruth and Christy Mathewson. The seller was asking for $120,000, claiming these items were rare and valuable. Rick wasn't convinced, so he called in an expert to verify the signatures. The expert quickly uncovered the truth. The authentication documents that came with the items were forged by a known scam artist who had been caught in an FBI sting operation called Operation Bullpen. Without any legitimate proof of authenticity, Rick knew he couldn't make the deal. In the end, Rick passed on the items, and the seller left empty-handed. It was a tough lesson about verifying the authenticity of rare memorabilia, especially when dealing with such iconic figures in baseball history. 4th Titanic newspaper that didn't sink in. An original newspaper covering the Titanic disaster is a highly sought-after collector's item, so when a man walked into the gold and silver pawn shop with a copy of the Boston Daily Globe that had the headline, "Titanic Sinks, 1,500 Die," Rick was intrigued. At first glance, it seemed like a remarkable find, a piece of history that anyone would be excited to own. However, Rick's trained eye quickly noticed something wasn't quite right. The paper was far too white for something that old, the ink looked too pristine, and the image on the front page seemed like it had been photocopied. These inconsistencies immediately raised a red flag. After further inspection, it was clear that the newspaper was a fake. While it wasn't worth anything, Rick did admit that it was still an interesting conversation piece. Sometimes, even fakes can tell a story and offer a glimpse into history, but it's important to verify authenticity before getting too excited about a rare find. In this case, it was a valuable lesson about trusting your instincts. 3. Monet painting that was too good to be true. Claude Monet's paintings are highly prized, often selling for millions of dollars. So when a man came into the shop claiming to have an original Monet, Rick was curious. The man asked for $1 million and even had paperwork saying the painting had been displayed at the Las Vegas Art Museum. Rick wasn't convinced, so he called in an expert to examine the painting. The expert quickly pointed out a few problems. The paint on the canvas didn't show the usual signs of aging, which is common in Monet's works. Plus, the painting's techniques didn't match Monet's signature style. Despite the seller's high hopes, it turned out the painting was a forgery. With no real value, Rick wisely decided to pass on the deal. It was a clear reminder that even when a painting looks convincing, you can't rely on just paperwork to prove its authenticity. 2. Lincoln family photo that wasn't authentic. In season 16, a man walked into the shop with what he believed was a rare photograph of Abraham Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, taken during the Civil War in 1863. He valued the photo at an astounding $1 million. Rick, always cautious with such high-value items, called in an expert to examine the photograph. The expert took a close look and quickly spotted several issues. The ink, paper, and photographic techniques didn't match what would have been used in the 1860s. The expert confidently declared the photo a fake, but the seller refused to believe it. He argued that it had to be real. However, despite the seller's protests, the photo was ultimately worthless. Rick wisely decided not to take the risk of making a deal. It was a reminder that, even with valuable items, thorough checks are essential to avoid costly mistakes. First, Baltic amber. That was plastic. One of the most memorable fake items to enter the shop was a piece of supposed Baltic amber with a tarantula trapped inside. The seller claimed it was millions of years old and even had paperwork to back up the story. He was asking for $2,000. Rick wasn't convinced, so he decided to send the item to the Gemological Institute of America for verification. After testing, it was revealed that the amber wasn't real. It was just plastic. To make matters worse, the seller had to pay $200 for the appraisal. This was a costly lesson for the seller about the importance of verifying the authenticity of items before making big claims. It also reminded Rick and the team that even the most convincing stories can hide a fake. In the end, the seller left empty-handed, and Rick made sure to always double-check before buying anything that seems too good to be true. The Pawn Stars team has truly experienced it all, from priceless treasures to clever fakes. These stories remind us just how important it is to verify authenticity and rely on experts when dealing with valuable items. Whether it's fake artwork, forged signatures, or counterfeit historical pieces, the team has faced many challenges over the years. Some of these mistakes have cost them a lot, but each one is a lesson about the risks and rewards of pawning. For fans, it's not just about the money, it's about learning and enjoying the drama of it all. Which moment surprised you the most? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Fame Game TV for more exciting stories and behind-the-scenes looks into the world of collectibles.